Now the reverse pendulum serve. Yes, I've made a VR video on this, but I suppose some people didn't see it, so I'll go through the procedures again, just the main points. Now this might look really fancy and really difficult to a lot of people, but in fact it is not. I'll show you how it's done right now. Basically, you're retracting your arm inside and then you are brushing the ball away from you. So first, maybe we can start with an exercise. Just do this. Get the feeling of this part. So you try to use your wrist. It's mainly your thumb and your index finger holding the racket and putting the force. And these three fingers are just curled back here to stabilize your racket. So it's mainly this and this. So this allows your wrist movement. As much force, as much spin as you can on the ball. So just get this feeling and the timing of the ball. Okay? Once you get comfortable, you can start doing this. So stand sideways and then try this. Really put force on your wrist and to go outwards. And slowly you can start doing this. So don't worry about the stuff before it. Just from here, try to contact the ball using your wrist. Okay? The wrist with a little bit of your forearm, this part. Try to contact the ball using your wrist. Okay? Now if you get the timing, good. Now we can start into the actual position. So it's the same thing, stand here and then with a low center of gravity. So slowly raise your center of gravity and raise your arm as well. So your elbow has to be the highest point again. So around the same height as your shoulder. And then this part would act like a pendulum, just like the serve's name. So basically, your elbow should be the pivot and should be a free swing motion like this. So when you raise your arm, drop your racket so it swings inside first, and then you gotta retract your wrist, okay? Once it reaches its maximum, and when the ball comes down, you gotta let it swing again, swing back. And at the same time, release your wrist, so it goes this way, so add force. And also again, use your body, right? To go forward. So try this first and hopefully you'll get the timing. Don't worry about the spin or anything else, just try to contact the ball and make it land on the table. Make it land on the table. Here I want to mention the toss. So you try to toss your ball, let it land somewhere close to your body. Most ideally under your body, so it's closer to you, not like you're reaching out. Okay, and also this helps you contact the ball. And then slowly try to add more force onto the ball. So more spin. Slowly try to add more force onto the ball. So more spin. Then you notice that different players have different whatever stuff is before they contact the ball. For example, Fan Jingdong, he raises his racket above his head and then he drops it and then go. Something like this. Something like this.
Was world number 1 was 2011, Timo Boll.
And realize Zhang Jike going back around and then doing this. And doing this.
短的了，因为他是当地人，所以也特别前来这个助阵。我们也希望
It's this part that matters. So you retract and then boom, retract, boom. Alright, so now let's talk about the spin. So some people say if you contact the bottom, backspin there, side spin, and then if you contact the top, top spin. In order to have a very similar motion for different spins, you can try this. So you're always contacting the ball at this angle. And then if you want top spin, then at the end, you can brush upwards a little bit, like this. To finish like this. And side spin, well, it's just side. For a backspin, you don't necessarily have to go like angle your racket like this and then go behind the ball. So same thing, you're contacting at the bottom, but just try to move your center of gravity forward and use your body and to make this ball to try to brush the ball forward, so it creates this motion. Pew, pew. So this produces backspin like this. Try to go forward. Go forward. Go forward. Go forward.
My whole body, I go in the ball, but the most spin I create with my wrist. So it don't have to be that much spin.
And that is how you fool your opponent using the reverse pendulum. And here are two advantages of the serve. So first, it's very easy to put a lot of spin on it and not have a lot of forward components, so it usually stays within the table relatively easier, you know, because you're contacting with a lot of brushing this way using your wrist. The second point is that you can use very similar motion to have topspin, backspin, just by, you know, adjusting the direction of your force. Alright, so now let's talk about placement. One most effective placement is forehand short. And that controls people who likes to use backhand flip. So it's really hard for them to go all the way over here and then flip. And then if you serve in 90% here, and then sometimes you can combine it with backhand short and backhand long. Sometimes when people go over here, do a chop, you serve it right to their backhand, and that happens a lot in world class players too, and they come back.
Need to hit every shot as hard as he possibly can.
6-8.
A little bit of side on that, but he lost the showdown. Well, it could have been a
是打着封闭上场的。
短的了，漂亮。
So when you're serving forehand short, then you need to turn your body more, and when you brush the ball, try to brush forward a bit more, like what Fan Zhendong does. He goes like this way, almost go forward. And then for a long one, then you need to put a lot of force, since, you know, there's not a lot of hitting. Small tip, so reverse pendulum, it's usually more comfortable for you to stand in the middle and wait for your attacking on both sides. Now, other than Fan Zhendong and Zhang Jike, there's another player called, I forgot his name. Yeah, he's called Yoshimura from Japan. So he adds something like a fake motion after serve, which makes it very confusing. So it goes something like this. So he would start by holding a racket already in position like this, and then he goes around, and after he contacts the ball, he retracts his elbow.
A hint of doubt. You're in the company of Paul Hand, enjoying this one. The last of our men. World ranked 43rd with another game.
here you can have backspin because you're doing this motion. You can rub the ball this way, so something like this. That's backspin. Something like this. That's backspin. Or you can have topspin, so you're rubbing the ball upwards, like this. Like this. And this serve is already pretty confusing to read. And if you want to just hide it a bit more, you can do what Zhang Jike does. So he, after he contacts the ball, doesn't go all the way, stops and swings back. This way you can put a lot of spin on the ball, which is a downside. Now let's move on to tomahawk serves. Now this serve involves squats. In fact, when squats, you have to go fully down. So if you don't have strong legs, then exercise and get strong legs, then try the serve. There are two world-class players that perform the serve the best. So one of them is Kentaro Matsudaira, and the other one is Ding Ning. Male and female. Great. And they have very similar motions, so I'll just use Kenta Matsudaira as an example here. First, in order to perform the serve, you don't stand at corners. Usually you stand in the middle of the table, and your feet should be parallel to the table, almost. And if you move to the side a little bit, for example here, then your right foot should probably be behind your left. So there are two kinds, forehand and backhand, which are quite similar, and I'll start with forehand. Again, we start with low center of gravity. As we throw the ball up, we raise our gravity. As the ball drops, you want to find the timing that when you contact the ball, your body is at the lowest point. So remember, you have to be fully sitting on your feet. Try to contact the ball at the lowest point, like this. Why do people even use this serve? So there are two reasons, I suppose. First one is you can put a lot of spin and force on this serve because you're chopping down, and not only are you using your arm and wrist, you're also using your whole body weight. So as you go down, you can have more force to put on the ball. And also, why do they stay so low? It's because they need to have this racket, when they contact the ball, it should be around the height of the net. So it won't be like this high. You go down, you contact at the height of the net, the ball is gonna go pretty smooth. You try to find the timing first, right? Now you contact at the height of the net. And then now with your hand, so it's normal grip, and you have to use your wrist a lot. Your contact point should be beside your head on your right side, if you're using right hand. Both your forehand and your left hand, or your backhand. So you squat down, and then you swing back your racket, and then you hit the ball beside your head. Okay, like this. So notice there's a turn of your wrist. So it's not straight, like this. There's a turn. So you're contacting the ball on the back and the side, and then curve it. This. So the important point here is that you have to contact the ball, hit it first, and then let it brush your racket. And then you gotta add the spin on the ball. Okay, and this is the same for backhand. So you go here, and then you turn. So there's that motion. So it doesn't matter forehand or backhand, you always throw straight up, and then your hand should move straight up at first to confuse your opponent. They don't know which one you're gonna serve. And then if you're using forehand, then move over a bit, okay, when you squat, and then make room and use your whole body to really and if you're using your backhand, then you make room for your backhand. And be careful not to do this. It's very painful, so sometimes they gotta dodge a little bit, so it doesn't hit your head. Contact point should usually be close to the head of your racket, especially when you're doing a topspin serve. So you're contacting here, and then you're going up. Up you go. And if you want to do backspin, then you're contacting on the side and bottom, and then you gotta chop horizontally like this. Okay. So backspin, topspin, topspin, backspin. So it's pretty easy to fool your opponent. This backhand serve is usually side spin or topspin. It's really hard to do a backspin. So here you can deceive your opponent by making this backspin and then topspin. And also you can use your action. For example, you can have a topspin and then you go down. So that's a topspin.
Forehand side of the racket this time. And look at this time.
For this serve, just like the hook serve, you can also have a version of kick serve, which is a very heavy topspin plus side spin. And once it reaches the table, it jumps, accelerates. So in order to do that, you have to contact the top of the ball. So jump forward when it has this top spin. So let's talk about placement now. Usually you should serve short because it's long and it's really easy to attack. But also you can have kicker serves and surprise serves that are very long and fast, which are also pretty useful. And for your ready position, once you go down, and it should be like a spring and you bounce up. But then you don't have to go all the way up again. So just after you've done this, and just spread your legs, and then that's your ready position. That Tomahawk is really a workout. Anyways, so here is another serve. It's quite similar to Tomahawk, but I think it deserves its own section. It's John Cena!